maybe.
It was Bob and Gordon, right? Is that right?
Bob and Gordon,
Mhm.
yes.
What?
Was it Bob and Gordon?
Bob and Gordon, first and second, or
I
did
don't
you?
know.
about that?
Oh, first and second. Oh, no, I did not.
Okay, Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $235,000 for the preparation and paving of town roads. Board of Selectmen 3-0. And I think the specific roads, originally they were going to be Durgan and Brown, but that's still a little up in the air, if I'm remembering correctly. But the dollar amount won't change, and this is something we do every year. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Yes. What have you got, sir?
I don't believe this warrant article is adequate, to be honest with you. My discussions with the state people and former road agents say that our practice of doing a base coat and waiting a year to put a finished coat on it is the worst thing we could do. It allows water, salt, sand, and everything to permeate, and the base coat really isn't suitable to be top coated after a year. They recommend doing it within 2 weeks of putting down the base coat. And this amount of money wouldn't allow you to do a road properly. In my lifetime, I seem to think, since we started using asphalt rather than tar and gravel, that for some reason, and this could be it, the paving doesn't last as long. So I don't think this is enough money, to be honest with you. I personally, and that's very personal, and my constituents will hate me for it, would double it and have him do the whole road in one shot. That's just
Is
my
that a
feeling.
motion?
Yes.
All right. Do I have a second on that?
To double it?
Mhm.
That's,
$470,000.
that's, it's too kind of off the cuff. I mean, we're not dealing with any input from the road agent, and
You really doubt that he would turn down doubling it?
no, I'm not saying, no, but we're basically throwing a dart at a board.
My research, Bob, can be qualified as hearsay, and I'll have no issues with that, all right? You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Okay, so all I know is what I asked people and what they told me, I tend to believe them. That's my position.
Do we have a second
If we
on
don't
that?
have a second, that's fine.
Okay.
It seems to me that usually it is true that he'll do the base coat one year and the top coat the next year, but he also does some other road the next year, that year too. So it seems to me that there would be enough money in there for him to do maybe a less road in one year and do the base coat and the top coat.
That's
in the
entirely
same year.
possible, but that has not been the plan in past years, and as near as I can tell from listening to the meetings, it's not in his plan for this coming season either.
Well, I don't think to me, it's not a question of the money, it's a question of changing the way he wants to do business.
And I think too, I mean, there were other materials Lloyd has talked about using as well. And that's something I think between the Board of Selectmen and Jim, we don't do that, but we're in charge of.
Well, I've made my
This is
motion,
about
I've
money.
explained my reason.
Well,
And
I think
I'm
it's
glad you
probably,
did.
although it's late in the day today to change this to $470,000, but I think your point's well taken in that.
Yeah,
Perhaps what we should do is bring in an expert. Let's do a road survey. Let's figure out what sort of changes we could make or should make in order to be more efficient and do things better. I mean, I'd certainly, as one selectman, I'd entertain having that brought to the board.
Mhm.
So, I know Lloyd
Maybe
is,
you can take that back to the rest of the board.
right, Lloyd's brought up information about different types of paving,
Mm-hmm,
which we need to explore,
yeah.
but that's not,
That's
not
maybe in
this.
this number,
That's fine.
A bit.
Again, I made my motion, explained my reasoning, and I'm willing.
Bob? Oh, I'm
Is
sorry.
it worthy of tabling this for a period?
I don't think so.
not without a second, I don't think it is.
I'll second it.
There you go. Motion's been made.
You want to double it?
No, I just said I'd second it.
Oh,
Let's make people vote on it.
Okay.
Right.
Or we're gonna table it.
Well,
think we
it's
should-
been
I think
seconded.
we should vote on it.
So let's vote on the doubling of the Article 9, that one is. All in favor? All right, it is,
Please repeat.
Guy voted for it. All right, now further discussion on this one though, do we want to add any money to it, or are we gonna leave it and put it in the hands of the selectmen to decide how they're going to go forward with this? Are you gonna do one road and do it the whole thing in 1 year, or are you going to, you guys decide that?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
why
we're
they're
gonna
elected.
we'll decide as a board.
That's,
but-
that's
I mean, we're-
budget committee micromanaging.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, I'm
And-
not saying I want an answer now.
And the road agent is an elected road agent, so it isn't as if we've got complete control over that department either. So-
No, but what I'm saying is, does anyone else think we need more money in this budget, and if so, how much? No.
I don't know
I
how you
would-
can make
I
that
would like-
determination.
Yeah, I
I
think,
can't make it.
I
I
would
think we
like
need to
to-
come with a recommendation for.
Yeah.
Okay, Helen?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the article as written.
May I have a second?
Oh.
John?
John, Mr. Second.
And
John
all
just
in
wants to
favor?
argue.
Okay, so it passed
But-
6-1.
Yes.
But I,
I'm sorry, Guy.
And before
no,
we
I
leave
think-
Yeah,
I think it's-
sorry.
I think
The
it's
one
a
time
good-
you want to spend more money, you
There you
can.
go.
it's,
Madam Chairman, before we leave the subject, I think Guy's absolutely right. I think
Yes,
this is a
I
wolf
do, I
den.
agree.
This is a short dollar for what probably need to be done, but not without more information.
And maybe this is something when this warrant article comes up, it's, you know, there's some testimony to that.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe
Maybe-
Guy will get out.
This was, this
Maybe we do a
was a
postmortem.
couple of years ago, that somebody came down
Yeah.
out of the crowd
Yeah,
and said,
just said, I want to buy
special
a
for
new
Tara
truck.
was not enough.
Yeah, okay. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,500 to support White House Addiction Center. This is the
White
one in,
Horse.
or White
White
Horse.
Horse.
What did I say, White House? Oh, I was watching the news, I'm sorry.
Is this the same one as we did last year?
No.
No,
This is a
last
new one.
year we
This is a
did.
new one.
White Mountain Recovery or something like that?
Yeah.
I
No,
think so.
we gotten input from them in terms of their total funding and,
Right, this is a portion of their funding, they're gonna get part of their funding from the county on a different part of their programming.
and do they also get state funding on this, or any of
I'm
this
sure.
coming out of Washington that,
I'm
that's
sure
a
they're
big
getting-
issue?
Getting as much as they can get. So this is what they've asked us for, and I think I mentioned it last week, that we're bringing
Mhm.
these to the voters the first
Mhm.
time out.
It's important. Do I have a motion?
So
I would
moved.
like, so moved.
No,
I'll second.
no,
Okay,
go
we've
ahead.
got Bob and then Helen, or Helen and
Helen-
Bob, you
Helen and
choose.
Bob.
All in favor? John is no? Okay, 6-1.
He's not
John?
feeling charitable tonight.
Not feeling charitable. I voted no on the. I
Oh, on
thought-
the
I
health
thought-
agency.
I thought it was too much on the health agency, so it's just adding to it. I mean, this is just for the voters to decide, but.
Okay. Thank you. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to establish a contingency fund for the current year for unanticipated expenses that may arise, and further to raise and appropriate $5,000 for said purpose, said sum to come from the unassigned fund balance. Any appropriation left in the fund at the end of the year will lapse into the general fund. This passed 3-0 with the board of selectmen.
So moved.
Okay?
Same as every year, right? Yeah.
Yeah, second, Gordon, Bob.
I don't think we spent any of it this year.
Well,
I
that
was
was gonna
gonna
be my
ask.
question.
Yeah.
Did you have to tap it at all?
I don't remember.
I don't believe so. They did not spend their entire
Yes.
budget.
We had a number of contingencies, for example, pumping out the septic system.
Mhm.
For accounting purposes, at budget time, we assign it to a line in a particular budget. But it's where does the money come from? It comes from this account.
From this fund?
And every,
Okay, so you
every,
did
every,
spend it.
every year, we have a well that goes dry, a building that gets hit by lightning. a
Okay.
Well, we
septic
never spent the
system.
budget to zero, so we really,
Right.
it could be argued that we never take any money out of this, we're taking it out of other parts of the budget, so.
All right, all in favor?
Right.
7-0 on that one. Karen?
Okay.
Article 12, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $35,000 to purchase a new vehicle for the code officer, recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0.
What do we plan to buy the code officer for a vehicle? Or don't we know that yet?
I don't know that there's been a vehicle put in front of us, I haven't remembered one, but I'm sure at 35 grand it's gonna be a four-wheel drive pickup truck.
Well, I have investigated Toyota four-wheel drive pickup trucks, for example, at considerably less money than $35,000, which I think would be totally adequate. I've also today, having been in the office, crawled under the current truck and had a look under there on my back. Does need new tires, but I'm not seeing a lot wrong with this truck. And I'm thinking, I don't know,
Well, it says the current vehicle is a 2008 Chevrolet Colorado pickup truck with approximately 82,000 miles on it.
yes.
It needs to be replaced in 2018. The replacement vehicle is expected to be a Chevrolet Colorado four-wheel drive extended cab with tonneau cover and for rear bed and seat covers.
Yes, and on that note, I'm driving a 2007 van, which isn't four-wheel drive, with 210,000 miles on it, which is in perfect condition. Someone is gonna get themselves a very nice little pickup truck out of this deal. I don't think there's a thing wrong with it, and that is my stance on this particular article.
Well, and having been in the business a bit, you don't trade at the end of its life. There is some value left.
Are we gonna
Do we plan to trade it?
Yeah, do
Well, yeah, it's gonna go away.
Oh, no, are we gonna sell it by sealed bid, or are we gonna trade, or haven't you made up your mind
We
yet? as a
haven't made
board
up
of
our mind
selectmen?
yet on that.
All right, and
But it has
then-
some value.
And that reinforces to
obviously-
me my position.
Obviously, when we take it to the dealer that we're gonna buy a new truck from, we're gonna
Mhm.
get a value from them. If we put out a bid and get more money, then that's fine. If we don't,
The
that's fine.
Toyota that I looked at and asked about at Irwin's is $23,900, brand new. This seems to be very excessive. And the proposed vehicle, I'm still not sure, one, why he needs a pickup truck, and two, why he needs four-wheel drive. Every inspection he's ever done for me, including this winter, the driveway was perfectly adequate for me to drive down in a two-wheel drive vehicle, and should be maintained that way if you're gonna have inspections done. I'm not sure why this has to be the way it is.
Okay,
I
Bob?
just don't see it.
With 82,000 miles, there's always the question mark of major repair. If to keep the vehicle, four-wheel drive, I think if you've got a pickup truck without four-wheel drive, you have a vehicle that's unsteady in any snow condition because of a light bed. And I wouldn't wanna, it just makes sense to have a four-wheel drive up here, especially with a pickup truck, with light beds. Unless you want to carry around 1,000 pounds of concrete block in the back of them.
Well, we don't have Jack here to defend his request,
That's true.
Right.
But we voted 3-0,
and you voted 3-0.
so
And
is
I am sure that if Jack got a better deal,
He wouldn't spend the whole
he wouldn't spend the
35,000.
whole 30,000.
Yeah,
35,000.
I mean, that goes without saying, that we're gonna try not to spend all the money.
Mhm.
I mean, and Jack doesn't just do building inspections, so, he's part of the overall team here.
That's
He
another
wears a lot of
discussion that we
hats.
can have.
Yeah,
I make a
he wears a
motion
lot of
that we
hats.
move the article as written.
All right, second please.
I'll second it.
Okay, we've got Bob, all in favor.
Right.
John and Guy are no on that one. And
Did you have that?
yeah, you're getting cranky.
You
There's
just wake
some
up?
candy out there,
It might
John.
have.
The sugar level down?
John, your reason, please.
I just wanna know what we're doing with the old truck before we vote on the new truck.
How do you know? I don't know.
Well, we're either gonna sell it or we're gonna trade
So
it.
we'll end up with two trucks.
No,
No.
No, we never keep.
We're either gonna sell it or we're gonna trade it.
So if
We're
you-
either gonna put it on the market, sealed bid, or we're gonna trade it with the dealer, depending on where we think we can get the most money.
We've never kept any of the police cars, or we've never kept any of the.
We
No.
did keep one truck.
And so
That's
it's
what
not,
we did
can't
keep
take-
so it's
yesterday.
not like town-owned property, we
Jack
have
got
the
a
approval to
used
sell it, you
police
can
car
sell
when he
it.
first
Police
came.
chief has
One of our police cars was his
And that
vehicle.
money, we can't,
Oh,
we
okay,
can't say,
but we
okay, now
just
we
transfer
only
it to
need
the town.
Okay.
Right. We didn't-
15,000
we
in the
didn't.
warrant article.
Got
because
too
we
many
have traded it.
conversations here.
Because the money we get for the truck goes into the income side of the budget, not into the warrant article side of the budget.
No, I still don't like that.
Okay, and Guy, you stated your reasons.
I thought so.
You thought it was too costly. So John wants to know where the other one's going.
Or reduce it, buy it, I feel like it.
You can't do
We
it that
can't
way.
write it
You
that
have to
way.
write it,
You
right?
can't do it that
Full
way.
amount, it's gotta go for it.
Right.
So not like anything else, so all these other ones that say the full amount, but says how we're gonna pay for it.
We're taking that out of capital reserve. What we're doing here is we're gonna sell town property. Once you do that action, that income from selling town property, whether it's trade-in or private sale, has to go onto the income side of the budget.
Mhm.
It can't go against the warrant article, because that's the way
Okay.
the budgets work.
Okay,
Yeah.
your vote stands?
Yep, it does.
Okay, then your vote stands,
Mhm.
okay. Or, let's see.
And that would make it 5-2.
Yes, 5-2. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 to replace the main entrance doors in the town office. This was voted 3-0 votes.
Does both sides, Mason?
I thought we came up on the capital improvements committee with 22,000.
You did.
Right. But since then, Jack has got some numbers that are actually a little less than 20.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
This might, what happened with the air conditioning? That,
We took
It went
money
away.
and
You encumbered funds.
encumbered funds from last year to buy.
for the air conditioning.
Right.
It's right there. It's a-
Nice
Yeah.
one.
And it does 3 different functions, it's not just air conditioning.
Heat.
Good, okay.
Yep. Well, we've been toying with that vestibule for how many years now? To
There are
get-
some leaks and that kind of thing, I
And,
understand.
yeah.
What's
Well, the
the
building
issue?
was built in 1997, because that's when I took the barn down that used to sit there, that's now sitting up at my property. So it's been 20 years,
Yeah.
21 years.
Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Gordon?
Second.
Bob second, all in favor? 6-1, Guy. Talk to us.
I'm a carpenter, and I think I could get some really energy efficient doors and put them in there for a lot less than $20,000. That's
You
just
can,
my opinion.
you can have the job. You can keep the other 15,000.
If it comes out to bid, I may.
And then, all right. Now we're on Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $31,000 to recreate and pave the town garage parking and loading areas. You guys did not vote on this one yet, so
I would move that we table this.
I think you're right. Gordon moved to table, I'll second it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I have just a quick question on that?
Yes.
Why was it not voted on?
Bill wasn't here on Friday when we're finalizing the warrant articles.
Mhm.
His concern is that $31,000 isn't gonna do the job right.
Okay. So I need
And
to just,
that was,
What's the reasoning for paving, other than, because there's a lot of heavy equipment that goes over that parking area, and from a maintenance standpoint, I was just curious what.
well, it's currently paved, so it's redoing the pavements that's there, but also the apron is bad, the building is settled, so that there's a door issue. So there's a lot more there than
Okay, that meets the eye.
meets the eye.
All right.
Okay, well, we'll revisit that one.
Well, it was, Bill is on the CIP committee, and the CIP committee approved it, so
For the
This is all,
31,000.
and
31,000.
I'm not gonna testify for Bill, as they say.
I think I had changed
He
it
had
to
a
26,
concern.
and then that's when things got questioned. So that was fine.
Oh,
Yeah, I was looking at the quote incorrectly, so.
Okay, well, we voted to table it, so we'll bring that one back next time. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into a 5-year lease purchase agreement in the amount of $580,000 for the purpose of purchasing and equipping a new fire truck for the fire department to replace fire engine 2, and to raise and appropriate the sum of $123,142 for the first year's payment for the purpose. The lease agreement contains an escape clause. My understanding, it was then after that going to be 116 over 5 years or something like that. But that's not in here, I'm just,
Right.
okay.
Has engine 2 failed the pump test?
Engine 2 is due for replacement.
And that would be from the...
CIP.
Or I'm thinking of like National Fire Prevention Association guidelines or something to that effect.
I think historically we've replaced the engines on a 10-year rotation.
20
years.
And that would be on a National Fire Prevention Association guideline, or?
Yes, it's a 20-year cycle,
Mhm.
and that's the, whatever that is, the National.
Fire Prevention
Fire
Association, yes, and I'm presuming that they take statistics from all over the country and come up with an average of something. Where does Tuftonboro fall in that average, I wonder? Traditionally, when we sell our trucks, they go to Errol or places like that, and they're in service for a lot of years afterwards. And the chief isn't here, so I can't ask him the technical questions I'd like to ask, but I can leave it at that. You don't need to go any farther, you don't know, that's all
I
it is.
don't. And we're not gonna hire an actuary to teach me how this works.
I hope not.
No.
I would not want to spend money on that.
Any other comments on this one, or do I have a motion?
You alluded, so is number 123 or 116?
It's 123,
The ongoing
years
thing.
after,
Okay.
it'll be
Years after.
116.
So moved. Was it?
Do I have a second?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, John moved, Gordon second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, it's 5-2, Carla and Guy.
Why, Carla?
Because I wanted more information. I would prefer that this be tabled, but I wanted more information. We have been spending a lot of money on things for our fire department lately. And it's, for me, it's the same type of thing when the ambulance came before us. Now, I know we're not gonna go out and buy a used fire engine like I thought we might try on a used ambulance for size, but I don't know if 1 year or so is gonna make a difference. And when I calculated up all the costs for the warrant articles, it seemed a little hefty. So I was looking at the big picture, not just, and this was one of the areas that I thought, well, maybe next year.
And that's why when we were talking about this fire engine, I asked whether or not we, and we don't really need to make the first payment this year because we're not gonna get the fire engine for a year.
Right.
We're not to just push it out the year, but
No, but
the
that's,
numbers
you know,
would
if,
work out.
I was just looking at the big picture, all the warrant articles added up and it cost inflation. And Guy, your reason?
I don't have enough information, and without it, I can't say that truck isn't serviceable for another 10 years. I've heard that there may be some frame rust and some spread. When we sold our engine that was at Winter Circle Prime because the frame was too far gone to be usable anymore, I was working at Lakes Region Fire Apparatus, and I welded that frame. And Lakes Region Fire Apparatus used that as a loaner truck for another 6 years. if there had been liability, I don't think the man would have loaned it out to other fire departments. And I'm just not seeing anything that says there's anything wrong with this truck that can't be fixed rather cheaply and kept in service.
Okay. Well, and like with everything we're doing, we can always revisit,
Sure.
you know, but right now it's fine too. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $88,500 to repair the Sodom Road Bridge to be restored to full load carrying capacity. This was not voted on yet
No.
by Board of Selectmen, so that's another one. I move we table this, of course.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Yes, oh, it was.
Yeah.
It was me that had the problem with it. Okay,
Well,
3-0.
so will this change where it stands on the state
No.
bridge?
It won't
Positive?
change its position on the bridge list, but it will push us back from having a closed bridge essentially for heavy
So
trucks.
this is a Band-Aid.
Right.
And we're not reimbursed at all from the state.
We won't get any reimbursement on this money, because this is a repair.
I was 11 years old when that bridge was rebuilt and the brook was rerouted. And that was in 1966. I think it's done us well, and having been a Sodom Road resident most of my life, I've watched that road go from dirt to paved, and it is a very, very busy road. The fact that we could restore it to full load carrying capacity is super important. Heavy trucks, logs, things like that use that extensively to avoid going through Melbourne, which I think is a very good move from a safety standpoint. And I think we should definitely, I'd move that we move this article here in the sum of $88,500. Is my motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Bob did second. I would like to have some further discussion on it.
So would I.
All right.
Is $88,500 a good figure?
That's a figure that was given to us by Bergeron Engineering. As-
But wasn't it the mid-figure?
The mid-figure.
It
I
was a
just want to make sure that people
Right.
understand that it's not,
Well, they give
This
us
is
a
the best guess
range of
estimate.
160 to 140.
I'm not debating that, I just want to make sure people understand that. That's
And a
all.
lot of it was weather related, but they've looked at and extensively looked at the conditions of the bridge, and this is an estimate.
That's fine, I just,
Actually, I think we added a little money to it.
What exactly is wrong with the bridge? I crawled down there.
Did you go underneath?
Not all the way underneath. Not all the way underneath. It was pretty slippery.
so the trolls, if you don't want to do that.
You know, Helen and I had our good shoes on that day.
Where the steel, which used to be encased in cement, is hitting the bulkhead, that's been scoured away, so now the steel is exposed and rusting and weakening.
Like the rebars.
Well, it's not,
It's not
No,
rebar?
the actual
It's a
structural
truss.
steel.
Oh,
The I-beams.
Yeah.
we didn't see that part.
No.
They've
All right,
giv- they've
we have
given
a-
us pictures.
Yeah, we have pictures. We don't have a video, but we have pictures.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor? Okay,
He's got pictures.
7-0 on that.
Yeah.
How can you?
Circles and arrows.
Yeah, guess you can.
Is that
Paragraphs on the back.
7-0?
7-0 on that one, yes.
Let's hope it's not
So,
the high ridge.
would this fall under the management of the road agent, or is this something that?
No, this is gonna be,
That the
we'll
selectmen will?
sub it out to a bridge contractor.
Okay.
So it'll go up for bid, we'll have engineering and all the rest of it.
We're pretty sure that number's probably okay. Okay. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $50,000 under RSA 3119A5 to establish a trust fund for the payment of health insurance premiums for town employees, said sum to come from the unassigned fund balance. The trustees to be the trustees of the trust fund and the selectmen the agents to expend. The purpose is to set aside funds rather than increase the following year's budget, to be used only in the event that there is a significant increase in premiums. This was voted 3-0. Chip,
So we're taking a portion or $50,000 of our unassigned fund balance and just moving it to a different fund, the purpose for which is to modify or moderate the spikes in health insurance costs as we go forward. It's an opportunity that we learned about at the
Conference, yeah.
conference we went to. And it seemed like a reasonable thing to do. We're gonna have, I mean, we have $800,000 or $900,000 in our unassigned fund balance. To just move one over a little bit, I think was a reason.
The school district did this years ago. This is not new
Yeah.
to the area. The school district did this 20, 25 years
You know,
ago.
we were fortunate this year to knock our premiums down $70,000 and adjust this and that. That's not gonna happen every year. It certainly doesn't look like in the next few years it's gonna be moderate for increases.
What is the difference between having this, Chip, and just in your mind thinking, well, if premiums are up, we'll take more of that out of the unassigned fund balance for the operating budget?
Well, because it doesn't really, they're not married quite that well. So when we get our premium notices in the end of October or the first
Yeah.
of November, we've already set the tax rate.
True.
So we really don't have the opportunity to revisit getting some more money out of the unassigned fund balance that way. So,
Yes. And yeah, you already have set the tax rate, for example, this year, but should these warrant articles pass, you've already set the tax rate. So,
well, the tax rate will have to be adjusted to accommodate for them.
the next time it's,
Right, but then the discussion comes, okay, how are we gonna work what we voted on at the town meeting against what our taxpayer expectations are, against what our unassigned fund balance is?
and this trust fund would not lapse. It doesn't go back to the general fund every year. It's there, and you may have to add to it if you used it much to re.
Right,
move
I
it
mean,
back
I
up.
initially had asked or proposed $100,000,
Mhm.
because it seemed like a nice round number.
Mm.
But you're right, we may find that we have to add a little bit to it, or we want
To maintain a balance up, but this does not lapse back into the general fund at the end of the year. It stays where it
The
is. if you don't
intention is
use it.
not to have it lapse.
But it's
Whether
been
the wording works is not, I mean, the DRA is gonna let us know how that works.
Yeah, should that say an expendable trust fund? I don't know, I'm not a trust fund person here. The trustees of the trust funds have a better handle on it. I don't know if the wording is right, to be honest with you. I guess
We
the
took
DRA
the
would
wording
fix
from
that.
31A, is that what it is, 31A?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
3119.
That's
Yeah,
a
so-
trust fund.
I think we're gonna look for some advice from DRA as far as making the wording work.
Okay.
I personally
Yes.
am opposed to this. I think that you should budget what your expenses actually are, and I just, they are what they are, and I don't think that you should be
Okay, I don't think
putting away a little slush fund
I don't think